Hello everyone, it's Candy. So before going into pesticides and their effects on honeybees, I want to give a little background about bees and their importance. First off, there are over 2,000 known bee species, and the genus Apis, which pertains to all honeybees, is made up of 7 species and 44 subspecies. Honeybees collect pollen and nectar and obviously make honey for their colony, but their significance extends beyond that. Honeybees do about 80% of all pollination worldwide, and there are crops that are dependent upon the bees for their pollination. For example, crops like kiwi fruit, passion fruit, watermelon, and squash would disappear without the pollination honeybees carry out. Here in the US, more than a third of all crop species are reliant on honeybees to carry out pollination, and the death of honeybees may lead to the loss of 7 major crops. Additionally, the value of crops who rely on honeybees to do their pollination is estimated at over 15 billion. The loss of honeybees will not only affect plants and crop, but also the dairy and meat industry. Alfalfa is pollinated by honeybees, and alfalfa is used to feed cattle. So a lack of honeybees will lead to a lack of alfalfa, leaving cattle without fodder and resulting in issues for the production of meat and dairy. The importance of honeybees not only plays out in the need for pollination for plants, but extends into other food sources and capital. In an effort to save the bees, the Environmental Protection Agency has banned 12 pesticides that are neonicotinoid-based, which has been shown to affect the health of honeybees. Although this ban is a step in the right direction, it won't be enough to save the bees, and more efforts are needed.
Courtney here. Today I will be talking about the effects of pesticides on honeybees. Neonicotinoids are toxic pesticides that are high in nicotine and can harm honeybees. This particular pesticide is a key catalyst to the significant decrease in the population of honeybees. As you can see in the picture above, all of the bees are dead. Foragers, or bees that work outside of the hive, just like the one above, are more likely to be exposed to pesticides in comparison to in-hive bees, or the bees that work inside the hive. Most foragers are older in age, so they tend to suffer a greater amount of harm because of their age. Pesticides have a negative effect on the interannual reproductive potential of both wild and owned bees. As you can see in the graphs above, the one on the right shows a decrease in the interannual reproductive potential. Bees become chronically poisoned through eating or drinking contaminated pollen and nectar. If the bee above were drinking from a contaminated flower, then it would probably die. Honeybees can experience abnormal behaviors after being exposed to pesticides. For example, some bees may experience hyperactivity, where they move at twice their normal speed, or they spin on their back while moving their legs extremely fast, just like the bee above. The pesticides cause bees to have motion coordination deficits, where they can't really control their coordination. They also experience apathy. They don't really care about what is happening around them, and they stay stagnant, just like this bee above. Also, the pesticide may cause the bee's abdomen to curve down, which it makes it more difficult for the bee to move, just like this bee. It stays in one spot and spins around. Last but not least, the pesticides lead bees to experience moribund, in which they are near death. The bee above is about to die because of the pesticide.
Hey guys, it's Aries. The decline of honeybees also has a negative effect on humans. Honeybees are the world's leading pollinators. They are responsible for pollinating $30 billion worth of crops. Losing bees would also lead to a decline in both plants and animals. This would lead to an overall disruption within the order of the food chain. Not only would there be a disruption within the food chain, but we would also lose food items such as honey and non-food items such as beeswax, which is used in cleaning products as well as beauty products. Humans have relied on bees for over 9,000 years. This loss in pollinators could lead to an economic ruin as well as a disruption of our global system.
Crop pollination by honeybees and other insects plays an essential role in the production of most fruits, vegetables, and nuts. But some pollinators are suffering long-term population declines that could disrupt their beneficial impact on agriculture and threaten food security. Increasing exposure to insecticides used in crop protection is a concern. How do we effectively balance the use of pesticides to control agricultural pests without unintentionally poisoning pollinators? To minimize the harm pesticides can have on pollinators, entomologists at Purdue University are documenting how honeybees are exposed to agrochemicals in the environment. This work is funded through the USDA Specialty Crop Research Initiative. The researchers focus largely on neonicotinoid insecticides, a relatively new class of chemicals that are broadly toxic to insects, and documented 2 exposure routes. First, when farmers apply neonicotinoids to crops that rely on pollinators, such as watermelons, the plants absorb the insecticide, which then spread throughout the plant, including in pollen and nectar, which bees use as food. These insecticides also move in groundwater to weeds surrounding crop fields. The second route of exposure involves applying neonicotinoids as a coating to corn and soybean seeds. During planting, these seeds lose some of that pesticide seed coating, which forms a dust blown into the air. This dust can contact foraging bees in mid-air or when they land on contaminated wildflowers. Neonicotinoid insecticides are toxic to bees at extremely low doses. So, one solution is to reduce their use to the minimum possible level that controls pests, or not using them at all if no pests are present. This approach is known as Integrated Pest Management, or IPM, a strategy that involves scouting for pests and only applying insecticides as a last resort when they threaten to destroy the crop. We can improve pollinator health by avoiding overuse of these increasingly common insecticides. While there are other factors that are harming bee populations, neonicotinoid insecticides are a pervasive stress that can make bees more susceptible to other stressors, like varroa mites and diseases. The research conducted by Purdue entomologists is a key component of a more holistic strategy that seeks to create a healthier environment for pollinators without compromising food production.
Hi, it's Haley, and I'll be researching human effect on bees. Farmers intentionally use pesticides to kill off organisms to protect the crops, but it results in killing thousands of bees. This means that when bees come in contact with the pesticide used on the plants, it can kill or harm the bees when they crawl across. Land development, habitat loss, and electromagnetic pollutions are making it more difficult for bees to reproduce, and this causes less bees in the environment. When a honeybee loses the nearby land they collect the pollen from, bees are having to travel farther, causing more stress and shorter lifespan compared to stationary bees. On average, a far-traveling bee lives 1 day shorter than a stationary one, and although 1 day may seem like nothing, bees on average live 20 days. That loss of 1 day is significant. As for climate change, more bees are dying than ever. Climate change affects pollinators by disrupting the timing of when bees gather pollen and the blooming of flowers. The pesticides used also harm the reproductive traits of bees, resulting in less bees than the years before. Although pesticides do not immediately kill bees on contact, the pesticides weaken their immune system and make them vulnerable to other predators.
Hi, I'm Brianna Lynn, and I'll be researching how to improve honeybee health. Increasing the education on pathogen management will help the control on bees and will ensure their health. The beekeepers are in charge of preventing diseases in order to help the colonies to grow. By planting more flowers, the bees are able to obtain more pollen and create more food supplies such as fruits, seeds, and vegetables. When planting more flowers that bees are attracted to, like lavender and black-eyed Susan, it will help the environment's shrinking flower habitat. When beekeepers and even people reduce the amount of pesticides used, it benefits the environment as well as the bees. Since bees are pollinators, they are bound to pollinate a flower at the wrong time when pesticides are used, and it will eventually harm the bee. When sanitizing the hives, the beekeepers should be sanitizing their tools with flame and isopropyl alcohol. Cleaning out the old combs, beeswax, and dead colonies, there is a higher chance of no diseases spreading. When bees are given natural pollen to eat, it keeps them healthy since it contains the vitamin, minerals, carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. When food supply is low, a good alternative is white sugar or syrup with white sugar since raw, brown sugar, and molasses may cause the bees dysentery.
It's Audrey here to talk about solutions to the effects of pesticides on honeybees. One solution could be to make appropriate formulas for pesticides such as solutions, emulsifiable concentrates, and granules, which are safer for honeybee. Bringing an end to aerial applications of pesticides would also be good because it can reach plants that bees are attracted to and kill them. Stopping the spraying of pesticides during bloom on plants that honeybees are attracted to would decrease the chances of them receiving the contaminants. Also, using bee-friendly pesticides such as vinegar, Epsom salt, pepper, garlic, onion, and etc. introduce organic alternatives to dangerous pesticides.